Hello, and welcome to another Arizona Hip Historian Virtual Happy Hour Tour. I am Brenda Holt with AARP Arizona. We are the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that is dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. And with a nationwide presence of nearly 38 million members across the nation and over 900,000 right here in Arizona, we work to strengthen communities and we advocate for what matters most to families, such as health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment, to name a few. During the months of May and June, we will focus on healthy living and amplify the call to action for the 50-plus community to develop healthy habits for mental well-being. As the country continues to grapple with the ebbs and flows of the COVID-19 pandemic, many are eager to move into a sense of normalcy. Many in the 50-plus community have developed coping mechanisms that show a strong sense of resiliency and the need to anchor themselves. Ongoing public health concerns, economic issues, and global conflicts are still weighing on older adults. By covering topics like sleep, stress management, healthy eating, and exercise, AARP demonstrates that its healthy living offerings can help Americans develop and maintain healthy habits for their mental well-being. Visit us for resources and information at www.aarp.org/mental health or at www.aarp.org/Arizona. Thank you for attending tonight's session. Have a good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, wide every folk, welcome to the show. Get ready to meet your host for the night, Arizona's very own hip historian himself, Marshall Shore.
Well, hello, good evening. I want to welcome you all to Arizona History Happy Hour. I am so happy that you can join us on Thursday, June 30th. I mean, the end of June is here. We're getting ready to slide right into January. And oh my gosh, so much. So today being June 30th, back in 2013, this is the anniversary of 19 firefighters being basically killed by the Granite Reef. Hotshots were killed by the fire up in Prescott area. And we'll talk more about that later on. Also, today is National Corvette Day. Now, when it was named the Corvette Day, it was also 100th anniversary of GM manufacturing. It is also Asteroid Day. Now, as you look up into the skies, there are millions of asteroids that we've not identified. And so basically today is trying to get the word out that more and more scientists need to be aware and trying to track some of the asteroids before something disastrous happens right here. It is also, as we get ready for July, National Bomb Pop Day. Now, I know many of you used to run after the ice cream truck and to get your red, white, and blue bomb pops. So now is the time to load up and get a bunch of those as you get ready for the 4th of July. Now, it is also how many O's? Oh, two O's. OOTD. So outfit of the day. So basically, this day was originally started by a show called Vanderpump Rules because that was one of the star's favorite shows. And so since then, millennials everywhere have Gen Z have been doing outfit of the day. I've been really lacking in my outfit of the day, but hopefully getting better at that. We shall see. Now, it's not just about looking good, but it's also about feeling good. Now, today is also the anniversary of the National Organization for Women. It was founded back on June 30th in 1966 by a group of activists who wanted to end sexual discrimination. And today that organization remains active, fighting for women's rights. So June 30th, even though it's just the tail end of the month, has so much. Well, what can you expect tonight? Well, we've got a little bit of trivia coming up because we have an amazing guest, as well as Little Arizona, where we get a chance to talk about a small town, as well as some music, history from the vault, which is something you might drive by and not even know it's there, as well as a beverage. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Now, if this is your first time watching, you might wonder, who is that man and why is he on my screen? So my name is Marshall Shore. I'm also known as the Hip Historian, but I'll talk about that. But I got here a little over 22 years ago. I was working in a library in Brooklyn and realized that I was tired of the snow, the slush, and so decided it was time to load everything into a big orange cube and make my way to someplace sunny. And so I started working in South Phoenix at a library that was rich with oral tradition of the community. And so that's one of the things that got me looking at, I think, Arizona in a different way by being at that little community-based library. Then moving to Phoenix, we promptly moved into a beautiful 1956 ranch that still looks amazingly like, you've got all that original buttercream yellow tile, original GE appliances that match that buttercream yellow tile. So friends like to call our house the Unmuseum, because actually what we're looking at right now is also, this is my living room. So lots of stuff, lots of vintage things. So it's the Unmuseum. Now, as soon as we got to Arizona, all I kept hearing about from friends was there was no history here. But I knew that wasn't true because quickly I realized no matter whether I went on foot, on bike, in a car, in a bus, by myself, with a group of others, everywhere I went, I kept running across so many amazing people, places, and stories. And then there's that post-war boom that I think helped make the Arizona that we all know and love today. All those GIs that either were stationed here, trained here, or passed through on their way to somewhere else. And after the war, they were moving here to Arizona in huge numbers looking for a new way of life, which they found. Now, as the hip historian, that means I get to play with Arizona history. And so, oh my gosh. So this month, for summer reading with Maricopa County Library District, I am doing Disney in Arizona. And so that is coming up this month. We're doing it at Glendale Library and in Chandler. We did it last month in Mesa. So it's a fun program. You'll be shocked and amazed as I kept finding more and more Arizona and Disney connections. So come on out and see, these are all going to be in-person meetings. So would love to see some of you. Also coming up the end of this month, actually, well, not this month, next month, I'm going to be down in Bisbee with my friend Francine and Deb as we are going to be doing dinner and a seance at the Greenway House down there. So that's going to be a lot of fun being in that really cool house. So looking forward to that. Now, some of you I see have already found the chat session, so feel free to throw something out there. You can also reach out to me if there's something you want to say. Maybe you've got a good story, because, I always love to say, I love to hear from you, because you all sometimes have been like, talk to so-and-so. And I do. And oh my gosh, an amazing guest. And so also we have, it would not be happy hour without a beverage. And PJ Barron, my cocktail advisor extraordinaire, always hits it out of the park. I mean, his storytelling abilities with just a beverage have become, for me, legendary. Also the learning, because he introduced me to new things. And, that kind of happened with this. So tonight, the cocktail is So he makes them, and I get them in these great little jars that all I have to do is unscrew the lid and just pour it into my glass. And so tonight we are drinking JoJo's from Tucson, which will, that will become reason why you'll see why we're having that as a beverage. Now, also, and JoJo, if you look, so it's got a little bit of Jack, a little bit of OJ. And then it was so funny when I got the recipe and I saw that it had oleo saccharum. I was like, oleo, that's what my grandparents called margarine. It was called oleo. So I'm like, there's going to be a big pat of margarine floating in my beverage, but it's actually an early version or a homemade version of triple sec. So tonight we are doing JoJo's from Tucson. Oh, and wow. And everything I was reading about this oleo saccharum said it really is really good. And they didn't lie. That is really tasty. All right. So here we are at Little Arizona. So tonight we're going to talk about a little town called Florence, Arizona, which is in Pinal County, has over 26,000 people who live there. It's kind of a growing place. A lot of folks are actually moving down there. It was first established back in 1866. Now, one of the things we're going to talk about is we're going to have talking about some famous women. So I thought, let's talk about some infamous women who all have a connection to Florence. So we have Eva Dugan, Winnie Ruth Judd, and Pearl Hart, who all spent time at Florence Prison, which is slated to close. But I think it's interesting that the prison, when it opened up, it replaced the Yuma Territorial Prison. And the inmates actually stayed in tents and built the prison that they would become then cellmates. And so I always think that that's kind of an interesting little twist. It's been used. Yeah, Lydia, not Florence, Italy. That's not Arizona. That's a whole different show. Although I would be very happy to do that show because Florence is an amazing city. So there is also McFarland State Park, which is a group of historic buildings that date to the Arizona Territory. And one of the things I love is here you have this grand courthouse with a clock, actually, a four-faced clock on it. But one of the things I think is interesting that don't gauge your travel or anything by those clocks because it always says 11:44. They chose not to use taxpayer money to pay for a clock way back when. And so to this day, it's always 11:44 there. So that's a clock that's right twice a day. I also think it's really cool. And, I almost I think more towns did this. You can download an audio guide that takes you on a little driving or walking tour around Florence, which is really a lot of fun. It's scripted. It's got sound effects in it. They got some really great voices. So that's a lot of fun and a great way to explore a town that not a lot of people go by. I mean, sometimes I'll take the back way through Florence if I have a lot of time and really don't feel like the 10, because then you get like Tom Mix Memorial. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you want to do that. Or maybe you want to stop at Boyce Thompson Arboretum. Maybe you want to stop in Coolidge. So, Florence is a great place to stop that has so much history. And I really love the way that they kind of package it together. So it makes it quite accessible. So everybody, get yourselves down to Florence and take a little audio guide as you drive around and learn more about Arizona. It also has Poston Butte, named for Charles Poston, who is the father of Arizona. So he really pushed Abraham Lincoln to create the territory of Arizona. And so when he passed away, people then found out he was not buried in a place they felt worthy of somebody of such stature. So a pyramid was erected in Florence on a hill. And so now it is Poston Butte. And so you can go visit that Although I don't think that is on the driving tour. It's a little bit of a hike to get to it, but it's well worth it. All right, now we get a very special guest. I am so happy to be able to say, hey, come on. How are you?
I'm doing great, Marshall. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Deborah. So I'm so happy to have you on.
Well, I'm thrilled to be on. I'm actually honored to be on. So thank you for asking.
You are welcome. So for folks that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
You know what? I'm an Arizona native, a third generation. So, I mean, this is my state. I love it. I've been a banker for a very, very long time, since 1971. Started with a bank in Phoenix, Arizona called Valley National Bank. And today,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And today I'm actually the vice chairman of National Bank of Arizona. So I'm still a banker. So I've got 50 plus years into banking here in this state, which is a history and all kinds of trivia all by itself. This year, I moved to a little town in Arizona, and I am living the life in Wickenburg, Arizona, and am absolutely thrilled.
Oh yeah, I love Wickenburg so much. What a great little town.
Yeah, I heard you were here not very long ago, like what, 2 weeks ago or something. You were in town.
Well, we did an event at the museum. I was up there with Eduardo Pagan.
Oh, he's fabulous. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I adore him. We've had so much fun together. So yeah. And I think I know there's talk about something else, but I don't know what it is. So look forward to getting a chance to come up there.
I want you to make sure you call me when you come
indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean they've got the great little Western Desert Caballeros Museum, which is there.
It's gorgeous. I'm actually vice chairman of the board of trustees at the museum. And so it is just a gem. It is just, it's ranked like the number 3 best Western art museum in the United States. So here we are, this little town in Arizona of 9,000 people, and have a world-class museum. It's just phenomenal.
Indeed, and its own set of history.
It is. Oh, it does. It has a great history. I'm sure you've been in the basement. I mean, it's got a great history.
It does indeed. So we're going to do a little bit of trivia. So now when we do trivia here on Arizona History Happy Hour, we do it a little differently than if you go to bar trivia, where it's all about, do you know the answer? And then we run away. You know what we're going to do is, so we are going to go through our questions that are multiple choice. We'll take a little bit of an Arizona music history break, and then we'll come back and we will talk about the history and the stories behind those answers. And, it's going to be a lot of fun. I thought I was going to do better than I did, and I didn't do very well on this one. So that's kind of the fun, is I'm looking forward to hearing some of the stories behind that. So you can keep track of, some folks do it in the chat. Some folks do it on a pad and paper. Whatever makes you happy, you go right ahead, because it's all about the fun and the learning. All right. So question 1. Senator O'Connor was appointed to the Supreme Court by which U.S. president? Was it A, Gerald Ford? Was it B, Ronald Reagan? Was it C, Jimmy Carter? Or D, George H.W. Bush? All right. So who do you think one of those former presidents appointed Senator Day to the Supreme Court? Who do you think it was? All right. And so I'm having JoJo's from Tucson. So what are you having this evening?
I am having a wonderful wine from Sonoita, Dos Cabezas Winery.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I had to have an Arizona wine for our Arizona trivia, of course.
Oh, understand, because we have so many good wineries.
We do.
All right. So, question 2. Before being the first woman Supreme Court justice, Senator O'Connor was also the first woman to A, graduate Stanford Law School with high honors, B, be elected to the Arizona Senate, C, lead a state senate in the United States, D, be elected as a Maricopa County Superior Court judge. So which one of those first do you think Sandra Day Connor was also on her list of amazing things? All right, moving on to question 2. Question 3. How many women have served as Arizona state governors? Is it A2, B3, C4, or D5? So how many women governors do you think Arizona has had? All right, moving on to question 4. How many of Arizona's women governors were initially elected into the office of Arizona governor? And I'm sure there's going to be some good stories here about who didn't quite make that. All right. So is it A1, B2, C3, or D4? How many women governors do you think were initially elected into the office of Arizona governor? See, Lydia, and that's the fun with multiple choice. Exactly that. So if you don't know the answer, roll some dice, throw a dart, just point. So that's half the fun, is if you don't know, maybe you'll guess right. I mean, I think last week, actually, one friend was like, oh, I just guessed on almost all of them, got almost all of them right, which is pretty incredible. So you never know. All right, so question 5. Who was Arizona's longest serving U.S. senator? Was it A, John McCain, B, Barry Goldwater, C, Carl Hayden, or D, Dennis DeConcini? So who do you think was Arizona's longest serving U.S. senator? All right, moving on to question 6. Oh, and here we have something related to Wickenburg. Ah, fancy that. All right. So Wickenburg, Arizona once was known as the Dude Ranch capital of the world. What is Wickenburg known for today? A, the Desert Caballeros Western Museum. B, clean air and wide open spaces. C, the team roping capital of the world. Or D, all of the above. So what do you think Wickenburg is known for today? All right, moving on to question 7. Oh, the Arizona Trail. All right, the Arizona Trail is one of only 11 national scenic trails in America. How long is the trail? Is it A, 53 miles, B, 250 miles, C, 800 miles, or D, 1,015 miles? So how long do you think the Arizona Trail is? All right, question 7. Question 8. How many federally recognized Indian nations or tribes are in Arizona? Is it A, 8, B, 12, C, 16, or D, 22? So how many federally recognized Indian nations or tribes are there right now in Arizona? All right. Question 9. The Pueblo of Arabia is located on the third mesa on the Hopi Reservation in Arizona and is believed to be the oldest continually inhabited settlement in the United States. What year was it first settled? A, 1050, B, 1215, C, 1492, or D, 1620? So where do you think the Pueblo of Arabia is? When was it first settled? All right. And so here we are at our last question, and let me take a sip of, and you have some amazing Arizona wine. All right. Which of these musical groups or artists do not have a song with Arizona or an Arizona city in the lyrics of one of their popular songs? Is it A, Aerosmith, B, Billy Joel, C, the Eagles, or D, the Beatles? All right. So which do you think of those musicians do not have Arizona City or Arizona in one of their lyrics of a popular song? All right. Well, you are locking in your final answers. We are going to take a little bit of an Arizona music break and talk about Mr. Lucky's out on Grand Avenue. So it originally was supposed to be a casino. We were going to legalize gambling, and that didn't happen. It then became an iconic music venue that was famous for rock and roll in the basement, country and western on the top floor. It was open for quite some time. They did a lot of community events. They would even do rodeos in the parking lot. They would do like family Fridays where people would come out and do yeah, Josh. So that's why that sign was there, because it was initially supposed to be a casino, but then that didn't happen. And so the space is listed with the Arizona Music Hall of Fame because of all the musicians that have played there. Waylon Jennings, to name one. Dwight Yoakam did a video there. So, I mean, the list of folks that went on and on who've played there is amazing. And for the last few years, it's kind of, people have been questioning, well, what's going on with it? Just got word actually this week that it has now sold to a group. And so they are they want to redevelop the land so it'll no longer be the iconic club. So I already know there are some folks looking to see what we can do about that sign, because that sign is iconic. And so maybe trying to move it to another location, and just trying to get all those ducks in a row to make that happen. So would love to see Mr. Lucky's revitalized and not quite so looking so down on his luck, but would love him to welcome folks somewhere. So, you know, it's funny. It's like, actually, so let me stand up for a minute. So I'm wearing, so every year we do a t-shirt. And so we did Mr. Lucky's a couple years ago. And so it's been very popular. And one of the things I love is by wearing it, people start to tell you a story. And so I think one of the best was there was a young woman who went to Mr. Lucky's for the first time. And, you know, the rock and roll crowd and the country western crowd did not always get along. So as she's walking in, a fight breaks out. The bouncer pushes her behind him to protect her. They then go on a date and wind up getting married. Oh. So I'm kind of like, oh, so I always think that that's such a great story about Mr. Lucky's and how such an iconic music venue can have such an effect on people. So look forward to being able to keep everybody up with what's going on with Mr. Lucky's, especially with that sign. So I will, the first time we have anything, I'll let everybody know. All right. So now who's ready for some answers? I know we're going to have some fun. All right. So question 1, Arizona, Senator O'Connor was appointed to the Supreme Court by which U.S. president? Ronald Reagan. So she was the first one at that point to be appointed to the Supreme Court, and a graduate of Stanford. So do you have any
You know,
connection?
one of the stories on that, when she graduated from Stanford with honors, she could not get a law job. And she actually, her first job after graduating Stanford with honors was to clerk in a law office. So it was
Oh, wow.
in a different era. So, I mean, she faced a lot of the, what I'm going to call discrimination at the time. She actually went to law school, not only with her husband, O'Connor, but also Rehnquist. They were all in the same class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was an amazing class.
I mean, and she has become such an Arizona icon.
She is. She truly is.
And, I hear she used to live in an adobe house.
She does. And the house actually got moved over to what I'm going to call the campus area of the Arizona Historical Society, which is there in Tempe. And it's even has some of the furniture inside is back, in that era, which would be, I'm going to say, the 60s and 70s. It is adobe. Once a year, they get together and have Mexican food and, do a mud. What do they call it when they put the mud on the
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's authentic. It's real. It is, and it was a beautiful architectural home at the time. It was just a home that was built, 80 years ago, but, and it was actually in Paradise Valley, very close to Hermosa Inn.
Ah, okay.
There on Stanford. Yeah.
Very nice. Another iconic place.
Yeah, it is. Totally.
All right. So question 2, before becoming the first woman Supreme Court justice, Sandra O'Connor was also the first woman to lead a state senate in the United States.
Yep, absolutely. All of the things that we had put multiple choice on for there, whether she was a graduate, from Stanford with high honors, that she was also elected to the Arizona Senate, and she was also elected as a Maricopa County Superior Court judge. But she was the first woman in the United States to actually be head of the Senate of her state Senate.
Wow.
Yeah, it really was, a different time. Since that time, the only other woman that we have had lead our Arizona Senate has been Kimberly Yee.
Okay.
And that was fairly recent, but I mean, because she's now our Arizona State Treasurer.
Right. All right. So how many women have served as Arizona state governors? And it's C4.
Correct.
So
Correct.
who are these 4 amazing women?
Well, we have Rose Mofford, and that beehive was as popular and as iconic as she was. She had style, just like you, Marshall. So, I mean, there you go. The next one there, going, from from the right is Janet Napolitano, and then Jan Brewer, and then Jane Hall.
Indeed. So now, are we leading the country with the most women governors?
The only state that has had more women governors than us has been New Mexico, and that only happened a couple of years ago. I think it was 2019 when they elected their next woman governor. So I think New Mexico has had 5. There is all probability that we could end up with a woman governor in this next election. So, I mean, I'm not opining, but I'm just saying there are, several female candidates. So
right. We could still be in the running for that.
Absolutely.
Very good. Oh, and I forgot to change. All right. So question 4, how many of Arizona's women governors were initially elected into the office of Arizona governor?
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Only one of those 4 women were actually elected in a campaign and won the campaign or the election, and that was Janet Napolitano. Jane Hall, Rose Mofford and Jan Brewer all were originally Secretary of States when the governor was either appointed to, an ambassador or whatever, but our governor stepped aside and they then succeeded into the position. Several of them ran and were elected for a second term, but initially those three ladies succeeded from the Secretary of State position.
And I know Rose Mofford did not run again.
No, exactly.
Which is kind of legendary because she probably would have won, but
she was very popular, wasn't she?
Oh my God. So the first time I saw Rose Mofford moving here 22 years ago, I went to an event at then what would have been Beefeaters.
Yep.
There on Camelback and Third Ave, which is now the Newton. So you've got the bookstore and everything else there. And so I literally had been here like a month or two. So I walk in and see this woman. I don't know who she is. I run back to the library and just say, I just saw the most amazing woman with this huge head of white hair. And just from that, they all were like, that is Rose Mofford.
Yeah, absolutely.
They said, look her up. You'll be amazed by her story. And indeed.
An amazing woman, born in Globe, and ended up running, our state. So.
Right. See, anything is possible.
Absolutely.
All right. So who was Arizona's longest serving U.S. Senator? C. Carl Hayden.
Yep. 41 years and 9 months. And so almost 10 months, 41 years, 9 months, and like 28 days or something like that. And I mean, the next to him, and he was well into his 90s. I think he actually passed away while he was serving as our senator. But next after Carl Hayden is John McCain at 31 years, and then Barry Goldwater at 30 years. So I don't know if anyone will ever break that Carl Hayden record of 41, almost 42 years in the Senate.
Right. And again, and so beloved by so many.
Absolutely. An icon.
All right. So question 6. Wickenburg was once known as the Dude Ranch capital of the world. What is Wickenburg known for today?
You know what? This town absolutely gets so busy, and with so many cowboys come, I would say November, December, January, February, March, while it's rodeo season. But we are the team roping capital of the world. And we actually have the not only the regular rodeo with the team roping, but we also have and feature the senior team roping capital of the world. When I first moved here in end of October, I had been traveling in our motor coach. And so we found a place like the Cowboys do, but it was next to an arena. So the city slicker here actually got to watch the Cowboys with the team roping, and it's quite a feat. I mean, two Cowboys, the calf comes out of the chute, and then two Cowboys with lassos go after him. One goes for a lasso around the neck, and the other one lassos the two legs behind him, and it is actually done in seconds. I mean, I've heard that one of the fastest times this last year was 2.6 seconds.
Oh, good gosh.
Yep. What a sport.
Yeah. Well, and so with Wickenburg being at one point the Dude Ranch of the world.
Right.
So it's like, the Levi Strauss Museum.
Yep.
One of the earliest pairs of women's jeans is from a Dude Ranch that was in this area. And so it was, I think, in the 40s. And they knew because the jeans were only sold at like high-end equestrian shops like in New York City for those women who were coming here to hang out at a Dude Ranch.
Wow. There's only about, I think, 6 dude ranches left, and I think 3 of them are like in the top 10 in the country. But what a lot of them have been converted to is Meadows is a rehab. And so, whether you have whatever a type of addiction, I mean, there's a lot of celebrities that come into town. They're not visible because obviously they're getting treatment at one of the Meadows facilities. But a lot of these dude ranches that were around here are now Meadows campuses for some type of rehab. I mean, these are rumors. I'll repeat a rumor. It was reported that Tiger Woods came here for, quote, his
okay.
The fighter. Oh, and you're gonna have to help me with this, or one of our.
You're asking me a sports question.
I know, and I'm not very good at the sports. Tyson actually.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson came here, but I mean, the list goes on and on. But I mean, they're pretty much, anonymous while they're here. But it is a major industry in this small town, and it's worldwide famous. But it's what a lot of the dude ranches have been converted to.
Well, and then also places to stay. You have like Castle Hot Springs.
Oh, Castle Hot Springs, the Flying E, the bar at KL. I mean, and they're, and Los Caballeros. I mean, a beautiful, beautiful resort that not only has your horseback riding, your skeet shooting, but it also has a beautiful 18-hole golf course. The Quayles, Vice President Dan Quayle's parents actually had a place. A lot of the homes on the golf course, there's only 52 homes on that particular course, but a lot of them are very, very, there's a lot of history and it's generational. And I would say the majority of them are probably 2nd, 3rd, or 4th homes.
Okay. So Wickenburg's a happening spot.
It is a happening spot. I love it.
All right. So question 7. The Arizona Trail is one of only 11 national scenic trails in the country. How long is the trail?
800
miles.
Yeah. It goes border to border. I mean, what an amazing trip. And it actually goes to the top of Humphreys, and it goes through the Grand Canyon. So, I mean, the amount of terrain and different altitudes, that one could experience doing it. I was reading a little bit on it, and one of the questions that I asked Google is, how long does it take to hike, the Arizona
Oh my
Trail?
gosh, yeah.
And Google answered that it probably would take 5 months. So obviously done in weather that we're not experiencing like today. But I mean, I think you'd have to really plan the trip out. But I think a lot of people aren't aware of it. I've seen sections of it. But what an amazing, I mean, we hear about the Appalachian Trail and we hear about the John Muir Trail in California, but you don't hear a whole lot about the Arizona Trail, but yet we're only one of 11 national trails.
That's pretty amazing.
I think so.
All right. Question 8 is, how many federally recognized Indian nations or tribes are in Arizona?
There's 22. And, I've seen the list that, Google the list. There's going to be tribes there that you probably haven't heard of. So some of them are very, very small. But I mean, we've all heard of the Navajo and the Hopi and the Apache and the Pima reservations. But I think it's very interesting. And I think it's an important part of our Arizona history that we have all of these Native Americans that we also share our state with.
Well, I think it's actually really, really cool that so many organizations and things now, whenever they start an event, basically talk about how we are on this land that was initially inhabited by other communities.
Absolutely.
and
Long,
nodding
long
to
time ago.
them.
Yeah,
Yes, long time ago. I mean, the fact that Phoenix is only here because of the canals that
totally.
were built by the Hoogham, and so then they got here and found canals.
Yep. Yeah.
So they're like, hey, then let's move into this place.
It's got canals built in. We can go right with
It's already, the hard work is already done.
Exactly. No,
So,
it's truly, I think, an important part of our history to understand and to learn about.
well, and that's one of the things I love about like the Pioneer Cemetery downtown by the Capitol is actually built on top of La Villa. An Indian community, an indigenous community. And so as we're walking through, it's not unusual to find a pottery shard that has worked its way to the top.
Wow.
So I always find it so interesting that that history has a way of percolating back up to the surface again.
Yeah.
After thousands of years, there it is.
Exactly.
All right. So here we're talking about the Pueblo of Arabi, which is located on the Third Mesa on the Hopi Reservation right here in Arizona. And it is believed to be the oldest continuously inhabited settlement in the entire country. And what year was it first settled?
Now, all the dates that I put down there and gave you actually had some meaning. I mean, 1215, the Magna Carta got signed. In 1492, we know Columbus sailed the ocean
Right,
blue.
the ocean blue. Right, exactly. When I was reading these initially, I was like, that's why I was like, I know it's not that one because I know the rhyme goes differently than that. So
and the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth Rock on 1620. But ironically, the oldest date there, 1050, is the date that they believe that Oribe actually was moved in and people started living there, and people have lived there. I've actually been up there on the Hopi Reservation, not recently, but probably about 20 years ago. And I would say that those Native Americans truly have embraced their past and are maintaining the past. We're not talking condos on Oribe or on Third Mesa. I mean, it's very much the way that they have lived for centuries and centuries.
wow. So Josh asked if the Third Mesa is available for visitors.
You know what? I don't know now. I mean, First Mesa and Second Mesa are, with permission, but I think they may be, I think you have to have some type of permission or approval to actually, I know when I went, we were invited as guests. So it's a sacred place, obviously.
So yeah, so and always, and I love as you look around Arizona, you can do a lot of different tours. I mean, like up in Page, you can do the slot canyons, like Antelope Canyon with a guide, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
So to kind of give you that other layer of history and some of the stories behind it, which is always
Marshall,
fun.
have you done Antelope Canyon?
Oh my gosh, yes, as well as the other one, which I always forget what it's called.
Well,
There's
I've lived here all my life, and it's the one thing that I haven't seen yet. We went up there during COVID, and it was closed. And so it is on the top of my, list as far as wanting to go.
Oh my gosh, and so it was so cool because you can also do like a photography tour where they take you through and show you photography. And what was really interesting was one of the guides was talking about, well, because of the way so a slot canyon, so we all know like a canyon, like the Grand Canyon is like this. A slot canyon is exactly the reverse of that, where there's a little crack on the surface, but majority of the canyon is then beneath that. And so you really get this really dramatic lighting, the way the layers of sediment have been worn away over thousands of years. And so taking photos there has been really a treat. And the guide was like, what you really do to really capture where that sun is, you grab a little handful of dirt and throw it up to get a little bit of dust.
Very nice.
Not too much. You don't want to like mess up your camera or anything, but just enough to be able to capture those particles will get the sun on them and sparkle. And indeed, it makes an amazing photo.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, and at the Herd Museum, when I was there for market days. I ran into a group that's doing tours in central Arizona. So I've been chatting with them about once the weather gets better, coming in and booking a nice little like 3-day jaunt.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very
So
nice.
looking forward to that.
Keep me posted.
Oh, I will indeed, because it's going to be, I think it's going to be an amazing adventure.
Absolutely. Wow.
All right. And here we are at our last question. I'll be interested to see what people thought, because at first I wasn't quite sure. I was like, well, wait a minute, I think there's something lurking in the back of my mind. And so, okay, so question 10, which of these musical groups or artists do not have a song with Arizona or an Arizona city in the lyrics of one of their popular songs? And that answer is Billy Joel.
He was a New York guy, I guess. So he
He
had
was,
so he hadn't been exposed. I mean, obviously, the Beatles had spent time in Tucson. There you go with JoJo again.
Exactly. And
How
there
is
you
that
go.
great?
That's why our cocktail is JoJo.
So Aerosmith, I mean, Sedona Sunrise, that was recorded in 2006. And I think we all know, I mean, Winslow, Arizona, standing on the corner, the Take It Easy. And I will tell you, this town has built obviously it's on the old Route 66, but they have built their fame and their attraction around this corner. And my husband and I were there last year, and you literally have to stand in line to be able to get up to the corner and have a picture taken.
Oh,
But
that is great.
the music is rocking and rolling down the street, and it's really just kind of what the town is all about. And then of course the Beatles, the Get Back. JoJo left his home in Tucson, Arizona, and that calls for another sip, Marshall.
Oh darn, it's like, oh, another sip. Oh my gosh. So okay, so Deborah, I always like to ask people as we start kind of rounding out kind of happy hour, it's like, how did they do? But I always like to say, it's not how many you got right or wrong, but now look at the stories that you have. I mean, and we could have gone on and on about music that has Arizona connections. So, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing a slice of Arizona history with us.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Marshall.
So, and thank you so much. And I will definitely, next time I'm up in Wickenburg, I will look you up. You may know I'm coming before I do.
Well, I don't want you to be here and me not see you. So definitely.
No, that will not happen at all.
All right. That sounds great. I will look forward to that.
Indeed. Well, have a great rest of your night. And I think you might still have some wine in your glass that you might need to finish.
Yes, I do. And I'm going to go finish my happy hour. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. As we get a chance to share some really cool Arizona stories. Oh, and Anita, look, 4 out of 10. Not too shabby. But again, look at all the great stories. And that's what I really love about is just kind of like, here's the answer. So here we are doing From the Vault. And so I thought, since this is the anniversary of the Prescott fires, we should talk about a place that I've driven by so many times. The Hall of Flame, which is an amazing little museum that has been around since 1961 as a private collection. And then it moved into a museum. And, when you drive by, it's kind of like this little unassuming storefront that I thought, it's not a big museum at all. And one day I stopped because I had time. I'd allotted X amount of time for a meeting, and I got there really early because there was no traffic. And then I was like, here's my chance to go in. And they were open for 30 minutes. And so I ran through. I had to go back another day. And actually, we've had them. From that experience, we had them on as a guest early on with Arizona History Happy Hour because I was so amazed. And so it's not just Arizona or Phoenix or US, but it is a global fire history museum with all kinds of things, as well as they do have some of the equipment that were used by the Granite Mountain Hotshots. So, I mean, they have an old, pretty much you name it, they have a helmet collection. It's like, I think if I had kids, this would be one of the places that we would have a season pass to, because there's always something to look at. So it's a lot of fun. So if you have not been, I highly suggest you go. You can find the Hall of Flame. Here is their website, so you can track them down, find out when they're open, and it is well worth a visit. And they also have air conditioning, which is a big plus right now. So it's a great place to go spend maybe a good chunk of your day. There's lots of other stuff in the area. You've got the zoo right there. You've got the Arizona Historical Society not far away. So there's all kinds of fun things to do in the area, but definitely go check out the Hall of Flame Museum. Oh, Josh, very likely. I don't know the helmets that you're talking about, but very likely they are from there. Last time I was at the airport, they had this really great clothing of the airlines. So they had like this whole brand of, bonsai, bonanza. It was the bee. It was that really big bee. And so they had the various outfits that the stewards would wear and pilots. So that was really cool. So now it's like, and I know Anita has probably already shared because she already knows this is coming. It's like, I always ask, if you're on Facebook, please click on that share button, because other folks need to see how much we're having fun with Arizona history, talking about it, telling stories about it, and learning about what makes this state so amazing. So next week we have Diane Post, who is a local lawyer and has been around doing all kinds of amazing work for decades. So looking forward to that. So we will see you right back here on Thursday, 7 o'clock, same bat time. And so if you have any questions, feel free. If you don't make them into the chat, you can always throw them down into an email, whatever. I love hearing from you all. And so as we get ready to say good evening, I always love to give a shout out to Chris and Cole, who shot that intro video, as well as PJ, my cocktail extraordinaire person. And, as we get ready to say good night, we are going to look at a little bit of Legend City and opening day, because, a little fun in the sun can't hurt. Could make you a little on the warm side, but that's why there's air conditioning and water rides. So thank you all again for being here, and I will see you next week. Oh, and there is no sound in this because it is a silent film. It is literally film footage. When I first got a hold of this, I actually gave a copy off to Lewis Crandall. He was up in Provo at the time. And so he sat there and we watched this. It was so much fun because he started pointing out family who were in this. So it was a really great moment. And then I actually, when we did the 50th anniversary, they did that at the Arizona Historical Society in Papago Park. And so I ran up to some of the family and said, I have you doing the can. And so that was so much to be able to share. And there is Lewis, the gentleman who opened up Legend City and made it a reality. And also it has a connection to Disney. So we'll be talking about that as we go on. And of course, what amusement park did not have a ride where adults could go, but they could also let kids drive. Now, what's really cool with this is, so this is the water ride. And so the gentleman with the fringe on is my friend Ace's father. I actually was showing this at an event, and all of a sudden I saw like Ace pull out his phone and was looking at it. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I think that's my dad. And so by the end of the night, indeed, it was confirmed that his dad had been a riverboat captain at Legend City. So again, thank you all so much and have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you next week.